Good afternoon, guys. So, today we're going to be looking at curriculum through a different lens. So today we're going to go and we're going to plant some flowers. Now, for those of you in my secondary praxis class, you might find this a little similar to my 5-minute lesson on how to plant vegetables. Except this time, we're going to start with something that looks like this. First of all, in order to start planting these flowers, I have to take them out of the fun little thing that they came in. These are called purple passion. They're very pretty. They have a purple tint to it. Anyway, they're kind of fuzzy too. I like that. Then we've got this guy. This one's called a purple waffle. So we're going with the purple theme, I suppose. And one more purple passion. Now, to talk about what curriculum is, we know that we have all of these standards that need to be met. We'll consider these 3 bowls to be our standards. So, we've got the national standards that everyone wants us to adhere to. We have our own school standards that we have to meet in order to keep our jobs. And we have our idea of what our standards should be. When you buy plant, they're full of dirt, okay? But we need a little bit more to supplement these plants, to help them create a better root system, so to get more of a foundation, so that they can grow and grab the nutrients that they need through their roots. The more roots, the more nutrients, the happier the plant. So I've got a mason jar in here. We're gonna just dump a little bit of that earth in there. As a side note, I'm not actually filling them. I'm putting just enough in, and we'll add more later. Ooh, that was rocky. Our school standards have become a rocky soil. Let's get rid of that rock. We just get rid of those little distractions, little disturbances to our curriculum, to our flower planting. So, we've got that done. Now, we'll create a little space in here for them. We've got this purple passion, and we need to manipulate it to get it out. Okay, so that's out. Now, we could just stick it right in there, and that would be fine. A lot of people do it that way. But sometimes when we're planning our curriculum, we have to manipulate things so that they meet each set of these standards, so that we have some of the national standards within our curriculum, so that we know that we meet our school standards, and so that we stay true to who we are as teachers. So, I'm going to bust it up a little bit, because it's got good stuff in there. It's got some good nutrients in there for the plant. To paraphrase Bob Dylan, an artist is in a constant state of becoming. Now, I thought of that the other day, and I was thinking about how that sounds a lot like a teacher. We are always in a state of becoming. We're always changing. We're ever changing. Now, to say that a teacher is in a constant state of becoming, you would think, or one would assume, that that would have implications for their curriculum and their philosophies of music education. And I would have to say that if a teacher is in a constant state of becoming, then so is curriculum. And then, to say that your curriculum is in a constant state of becoming, is that also to say that your curriculum will never be? Think about that while I plant our school standards plant in there. So, we know that curriculum is ever changing, and we know that the standards seem to stay pretty much the same. Stagnant, if you will. Does that mean that if the standards stay the same, and our school standards are pretty similar each year, does that mean our curriculum should stay the same every year? But if we were planting a seed, we would watch this seed evolve over time. You would start with the dirt, and then you would put in the seed. And then you water it, and you wait, and you wait, and you wait, and you nurture it, and you make sure that you're taking care of it. And then one day, you're growing something, that something is popping up through the soil. And you're growing a vegetable, perhaps. That should be what curriculum is like. Curriculum should be like planting flowers, like planting a seed. We have to make sure that we take care of our flower, our curriculum, our philosophies. We have to make sure that those things all remain true to who we are, while not neglecting these other two standards. It's kind of a balancing act. It's not kind of a balancing act. It is a balancing act. It's a balancing act between knowing when to really fight for what we believe in and knowing that we really need to be able to work as a team with these three different sets of standards. Okay, now let's go inside and talk a little bit more about curriculum. We'll get more in detail with the text and the PowerPoint from the other day, and we'll go from there. All right, see you inside. So you may ask yourself what planting flowers has to do with planning your curriculum. And before we get to that, I would like to talk about the readings from this week. All right, so now we're going to get into the readings, and we're going to talk about Decker Walker's 4 conceptualizations of curriculum. We're going to look at Dr. Abraham's conceptualizations of curriculum, and we're going to see how those things tie into what I believe, and then we'll get back to how planting flowers is like planning a curriculum. These are Decker Walker's conceptualizations of curriculum. While looking at Decker Walker's conceptualization of curriculum, I would have to say that I agree with the bottom 3. Now, when I was in high school, I thought the curriculum was only the courses that were offered at the school. That was my understanding of what curriculum was. That's all it had to be at that point. But now I see that curriculum needs to be something that's more active, something that the lessons plans you actually learn something from them rather than I learned this and I'm going to be tested on this later and then I can forget it. I strongly believe that doing activities and having the intention of what you're going to learn during those activities will help the students experience what you want them to learn and take more from it rather than this is what we learned today and that's it and I'm not going to remember it tomorrow. Let's look at what Dr. Abrahams has to say. Curriculum is the interaction of teachers and students in authentic and meaningful experiences which are acknowledged as important to both of them. With Dr. Abraham's conceptualization of curriculum being an interaction between teachers and students, I would have to say that it's too bad that he said it first, because those are exactly the things that I think of when trying to think of curriculum in a different way, or when trying to think of teaching in general. I believe that teaching and curriculum should be an interaction between teacher and student. We have to be willing to work with our students, to enrich their understandings, to create our curriculum. They should be editors or creators of the curriculum in the class. Understanding that we are all separate individuals will enable us to better create our curriculum. Knowing that we're all different and knowing that we all learn differently and knowing that we all expect different things from the curriculum will help us to better understand how to create the curriculum and in what ways we could think about curriculum. When we're putting together our curriculum, we ultimately have to think of our students. We can't just think, how would it feel to teach this? Do I want to teach this? Is this something that I can teach? We have to think, what are my intentions in planning this lesson? We have to think, what are the objectives of this lesson, of this unit even? We could think on a larger scale, but I'm just going to stick to just the small scale, just a lesson at a time. So we have to think what our intentions and what our objectives are. We have to think what activities we can do to enrich their learning experiences. And we also have to, be able to allow students to experience the curriculum and create it and be a part of the teaching process. Planning flowers and planning a curriculum are very similar. You have to care for each. You have to know what each thing needs to be successful. And the curriculum, you need the students, you need the interaction between the teacher and the students. You need to know what your school expects of your curriculum. You need to have the national standards in there. And you need to remain true to who you are as an educator.